What is going on, guys? Dave from Wake Up It's Football alongside of Ezra from Idiot Sports Talk. Bringing you guys the Week 2 episode of the Red Zone Blitz for the 2015 NFL season. A lot of drama went on Week 2. We saw the Cowboys literally get dismantled and still win a football game, with Tony Romo breaking a collarbone, no Des Bryant. Jason Witten has 2 sprained ankles. So Cowboys have a little bit of a situation going on. Got a lot of solid teams that are 0-2 right now, so we got to talk about the Seahawks, Colts, Giants, Eagles, teams like that. Who's still gonna make that push, potentially make the playoffs? We got a whole lot of other quarterbacks and injuries and all kinds of stuff to talk about. But let's bring in Ezra, the expert on the New York Jets and co-host. How's it going, Ez?
I won't call myself an expert, but I appreciate that plug. That sounded great. But I would not go that far at all. I'm just a fan, very biased. I won't say very biased. I think I'm more of a realist, but I am a biased Jets fan in the end. And you want to talk about the Colts first? That's what you want to talk about? But first, I want to give a shout-out to Super Hippo. This man is always here for the last 5 weeks. The last Red Zone Blitz he's been the first one in the chat waiting for us to start the show. So Super Hippo, you got a shout-out there. Yes. I got something on my face. I got some crumbs on my face, David. Damn, that's okay. I was eating a sandwich. Big Tuna, one of my favorite all-time coaches, but I am eating tuna. The Colts, your boy, your golden boy, which I agree with you. He is the man. Andrew Luck getting thrown under the bus by his coach, Chuck Pagano. They're 0-2, high expectations. You have them in the Super Bowl. You still got them in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's 0-2, still technically, very early on.
First off, before we get into the problems with the Colts, is it justified that Chuck Pagano came at your boy?
Well, I heard the comments only once. I think that was this morning, but I would have to hear them again. You got to refresh my memory.
He was saying, basically, he's got to stop turning the ball over. He should be used to you know what part had me like, okay. He was basically saying he's used to having this bad offensive line running around. He should be used to it. He should be able to handle this situation better. Talking about his offensive line and the pressure that he's under. And he's been successful. Excuse me?
What was it? Wasn't he throwing the offensive line under the bus more than anything else?
I heard the quotes on Andrew Luck saying he should be able to handle being under pressure. He's been doing it for the last 3 years. What's the deal now? But the thing is, and something you're a big component on, quarterback should not turn the ball over, but your boy has been an absolute turnover machine.
The first 2 games, yes.
No, I'm talking about his career.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, fine. That's fine. It is. He's a turnover machine, and you love him, and that's fine because I'm the guy that always says turnovers are slightly overrated in sports. Okay, and I understand the weight that he has to carry with the Colts. If you really look at it deep down, without a great quarterback, like the time Peyton Manning got hurt, they were crap. If Andrew Luck gets hurt, they're crap. And I think the lack of talent surrounding him is catching up, especially outside the division. And now with the division getting better, it's going to look like this. And obviously they haven't faced any divisional opponents, and I still think they're the clear-cut best team in that division. But this is not a cakewalk anymore. It's not. The last couple, what was it? They went 17-3 the last couple years in their division, and I think it's 17-13 outside of it. I don't know. It's something those numbers along those lines.
Right. And that's because of the division that they play in. But when it comes to turnovers, obviously when you compare him, you can easily compare him to Peyton Manning. And if you want to, Peyton Manning started his career throwing a lot of interceptions. He turned the ball over a lot, and obviously you never want to turn the ball over. But you said that turnovers, in your opinion, are slightly overrated. they're not overrated when you're playing a team who has a quarterback who can capitalize on those and turn those turnovers into points. If you're playing a team, I don't know, like maybe the Cleveland Browns, who don't necessarily have that offensive firepower, even if the ball was to be turned over, they can capitalize, turn around, and score a touchdown right away. Then your argument, I think, is a little bit more valid. But in my opinion, you never want to turn the ball over. And yes, Andrew Luck has.
You don't want to turn, but what I mean by overrated, and it should be a slightly overlooked more what Andrew Luck is, because one, he hasn't had a running game. And I'm talking about his career. He hasn't had a running game throughout his career. He's always under constant pressure. If he is not putting up 30 points on the board, they're likely going to lose the game. So he has to be ultra aggressive. He has to be like that. So those causes turnovers.
So, but who does that then come down to? If he has to score 30 points, what does that say about his defense?
Well, I'm saying his defense is the talent around him. I said that at the beginning. It's the talent around him, and that's why when you're not filled with rich talent, the guys around you, the other teams are getting better, and you're really not, there's a problem. But this past Monday night, he did have a slight running game. Frank Gore was running pretty well in the first half, but the pressure was getting to him. The Jets were coming at him, and that's when he was making these ill-advised turnovers. And it's a physical team. I said it before. If you're going to beat the Colts, you got to be physical. Bills, Jets are physical teams. This is the type of kryptonite that bothers them. So I'm not putting too much stock. I don't think the season's over. I'm not going to throw Andrew Luck under the bus. I'm not going to put Chuck Pagano on the hot seat myself, but Jim Irsay is. I don't think it's the end of the world for the Colts that they're 0-2. But there is plenty of concern here. They lack talent in a lot of areas. They got 2 rookies on the defensive line, even though they look really good in the beginning versus my Jets. You got an offensive line that's been a carousel for the last couple of years. If you saw Monday night, they had 5 different left guards, 6 different centers, 6 different right guards, 5 different right tackles in his short career. That's no good. That is terrible. So it's catching up to them. There's concerns there, and that's why I didn't have them as Super Bowl favorites, but I don't think it's the end of the world.
Well, and it goes back to, I think, the blueprint that they had in Indianapolis when Peyton Manning was there, where they had Robert Mathis and Dwight Freeney on both sides of the line pressuring opposing quarterbacks, which allowed them to not necessarily have to invest too much into their secondary. A lot of quarterbacks, didn't really have the time to get comfortable when they had these 2 elite pass rushers coming at them. Then you have Peyton Manning on the opposite side of the ball, doing his thing, point blank. It was Peyton Manning, and they really didn't have to. They didn't have the team that the defense that was structured in the past. They don't have that anymore. Robert Mathis is old. He's coming off of missing the entire 2014 season. I think that blueprint is gone. I don't think they have that. When I picked them to be the AFC favorites, I was thinking more that this team was going to have to rely more on Andrew Luck and the offense, obviously, than the defense, because the defense right now is not there. I don't think they're even remotely in the top 20 defenses in the league. So I think the Colts are going to have to step up. And we say that it's not always on the quarterback's shoulders, but I think in this case, if you had, if you plugged in any other quarterback like I don't know, Ryan Fitzpatrick, the
Colts would be terrible with
which team would be better? I think every team could arguably be better than them.
I won't go that far. Maybe it's just it's a good argument. I think they would win only 3-4 games if they had an average quarterback back there. Okay, the talent's
3 to
not
4.
there. They will win if they had how many games do you think they would only one?
I'm thinking now. Let's assess this. I mean, you got weapons on the offense, but again, the key position here is the quarterback. You take Andrew Luck out, you put in a guy like, I don't know, Alex Smith wouldn't fit in that offense because the receivers like to run vertically. It's not a dink and dunk offense.
Foles?
Foles, Ryan Mallett,
how many wins would they get? That's what I'm saying. 3-4 wins.
I'd say five or six max.
5, 6. Oh, and that division, even though that division's getting better. Okay? The division's getting better. I said countless times the Jaguars had one of the best off seasons, and they came out and beat the Dolphins this past week. And a lot of people were shocked. Not me. Even though I'm very high on the Dolphins myself and Ryan Tannehill, but the Jaguars had a very good offseason, and they got young talent, and they're developing. So the division's getting better.
How about Oakland?
Oakland, too. They did their thing. The Ravens, 0-2?
Uh-oh. Yeah, I know. That's another surprise team that's 0-2.
So the Raiders, the Raiders deserve a lot of love. Derek Carr, 350 yards, over 3 touchdowns, doing his thing. Amari Cooper doing his thing. Their defense doing their thing.
How impressive was it, though, when after week 1 he hurts his hand against Cincinnati it was. And, he's questionable, not sure if he's going to play in week 2, comes out and has the performance he has against the Ravens.
Who did I want to just to draft at quarterback?
Derek Carr.
That's my boy, okay? He's got some talent around him. He's performing. That's the man I wanted on my Jets. That's all I can say. The Raiders got a nice, they should feel good. They beat a physical team. Jack Del Rio came in here to change the mindset and the physicality of this team, and they matched one of the, you can't argue. The Ravens, if you think of toughness, you think of the Ravens first. And they went out there and, stayed toe-to-toe physically with the Ravens. So you got to feel great if you're the Raiders. And high five for the Raiders, not going along with the golden 50-yard, in the field. Keep it gangster, Mark Davis. Keep it gangster. That's how you do it. The 49ers got those colors gold. Why they got to, because everybody in the NFL is doing it. So what? You didn't help them get a stadium. Why do they got to go along with you? Live on the legacy of Al Davis, black and silver. That's how you do it. Well, we got a question in the FanDuel comment box.
Let's hear it.
And first off, before we get to the FanDuel comment box, I won $80 this week on FanDuel. Shout out.
$80.
$80, kid. Ooh,
nice.
$80.
There you go.
I'm not going to withdraw it. I'm going to use it for more matches, but still.
Right.
$80 I got to play with. Mr. Pearl says, which is the best 2-0 team? Okay, we got the Patriots, Jets, Bengals, Broncos, Cowboys, Packers, Falcons, Carolina Panthers, Cardinals.
How many teams is that?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So give me a top 3.
All right. Let's list them one more time.
Okay, Patriots, Jets, Bengals, Broncos, Cowboys, Packers, Falcons, Panthers, Cardinals.
Okay, I got my 3.
You got your 3. All right, so go with your number 3.
Cardinals.
Oh man, I'm gonna go with you too, Cardinals. I'm upset that we agreed.
I haven't agreed with you on the Cardinals in the past, but more and more, I've thought about it more, and I'm like, last year in the first 10 games that they played, they were 9-1 before Carson Palmer went down. And since he missed the rest of the season, they weren't really able to have that consistency at the quarterback position, and they finished at 10-6, and lost 5 of their last 6 games. Is that math correct? Somewhere in that neighborhood. Anyway, point is, they're off to a 2-0 start now. And in the last couple of years, I think they finished 10-6. But this is a team that I think has been overlooked. Carson Palmer is surprisingly doing really well at an older age. So I think the Cardinals right now, I almost said the Falcons, believe that or not. with how crappy they've been the last couple of years. But I'm going to say Cardinals 3. I'm going to say it's a toss-up, I think, between the Packers and the Patriots at 1 and 2. Holy crap, there's a big spider. Ezra, give me your number 3. I got to go kill this spider.
My number 3 were the Cardinals also, and it's no surprise with me. Carson Palmer was one of the important clogs of that team last year, and they have that mentality, and I know they're confident from last year, and they feel like they could have did damage if they had a decent quarterback running them last year, because Carson Palmer went down, then Mike Stanton went down. So is it Mike? No, I know it's Stan. Anyway, my number 2 team, as he was debating, I'm gonna go with the Patriots. I'm gonna go with the Patriots 2-0, defending Super Bowl champ. Tom Brady's on a mission right now. Grunk, oh my God, is he our early season MVP of the league? That defense is doing better than expected, even with all the changes in the secondary. But that's the reason why I got him ranked number 2 behind the Packers, because of the secondary is, still suspect.
I'm going to put the Packers at 1 and the Patriots at 2 because the Patriots allowed the Bills to come back on them. The Bills finished that game with a score of 40-32. And when I turned that game off, I believe the score was somewhere like 30, I don't know what it was, 30-something to 13 or something like that. And I was like, all right, this game's over. The Bills are gonna lose this game. No surprises here. And later on, I look at the scores. I'm like, how did the score turn into 40-32? For that reason, I'm putting the Packers at number 1.
Okay, and since you brought up an honorable mention of the Falcons as your number 4, or you almost put them at number 3, I'm going to go with the Bengals. Okay, they look very well. They've handled business the first 2 weeks. I'm going with the Bengals.
They got to let Jeremy Hill learn how to hold on to that ball, though.
That's all right, but they got another running back that's very talented who could be a starter on most teams, and Giovanni Bernard came in and did his thing, and Andy Dalton, 0 turnovers so far the first 2 weeks.
Bengals and Falcons, top 5. Cowboys, the injuries they got right now, I'm going to say no. Jets, if Ryan Fitzpatrick can throw 1 touchdown every single game and not turn the ball over and hand the ball over to Chris Ivory.
You can forget about all that stuff you're saying.
Listen.
About all that, okay? Because he is gonna throw. He's eventually. It's not even throwing an interception. He's gonna fumble it. He's gonna have some type of turnover, and the score should have been a lot. We should have destroyed the Colts. We should have destroyed them. How much turnovers we had, short field. We had, and the Colts were in it all the way in the middle of the fourth quarter until Brandon Marshall had to muscle his way for a touchdown. So, I'm not that sold on my Jets. I'm happy we're 2-0. I'm happy we're actually winning games and we responded in that fourth quarter. But this notion that, Todd Bowles already came out and said, hey, Ryan Fitzpatrick is our starter for the rest of the season. I don't know if I totally agree with that this guy is, he's the answer. I'm not saying mess up the mojo. If he's 3-1 when Geno's healthy, let him rock. But I still want a leash on him. Let's not give him this full confidence that we're fine.
Give him the full confidence. You want Geno over Ryan?
I just said I won't mess up the mojo. So the answer is no right now. All I'm saying is
Ryan remains the game manager that he is. I don't want
people to get this perception that Ryan Fitzpatrick is the reason why we're 2-0.
Right.
Helped. That's the point.
Listen, you want the quarterback who's going to turn the ball over the least in that kind of that type of team, because the defense is what's gonna win you football games, not Ryan Fitzpatrick or Geno.
All I remember Todd Bowles naming who the starter before the season started. Who was the starter?
Geno.
Okay. I wonder why. Why all of a sudden the love for Ryan Fitzpatrick and da-da-da-da, but who was the starter named before Mr. Uppercut came out of nowhere because Geno Smith cost himself a lot more than $600. Just saying. I wonder why.
Okay, it could be an argument about potential. Who gives us the best possibility to win football games? And maybe at the time they thought Geno. But in my opinion, I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is a more conservative play at the position. You're taking more of a risk with Geno because I feel like
that.
Okay,
but that's
that's how the team is, in my opinion. I know you're a Jets fan, but from an outside perspective, who doesn't watch the team as closely as you do, the way I see it is the defense keeps you in football games. If you can score 20 points a game with that offense, you're going to be golden because that defense is going to help keep points off the board. If you don't turn the ball over, you're throwing up to Brandon Marshall, you let Chris Ivory run the ball, and your defense does its thing, that's how you're going to win football games. Well, when you got Geno slinging the ball around, throwing interceptions, how the hell do you expect to score 20 points?
That is our old regime. That is under an old offensive coordinator, and this will be Geno's third year. All I'm saying is I'm not saying put him as a starter tomorrow if he's healthy. I'm saying I will still be keeping an eye on Ryan Fitzpatrick. That Ezra's not going to be dipping in the honey. Go, it's so delicious. Oh, the Ryan Fitzpatrick honey jar. No, I'm still looking at an expired date. I'm just not. No, I'm not in the cookie jar like everybody else. Sorry. I'm watching you, Ryan. Okay, I'm watching you.
Who are some of the other 2-0 teams as? we said Cowboys, then we said Jets. There's two more. Are the Panthers 2-0?
Panthers are 2-0. Hey, that defense and Cam Newton.
Okay, and then who's the last one? I think we've named 8 out of the 9. We missed one.
The Broncos. Can you believe that? Can we believe that we missed the Broncos? Even though I'm still very high on the Broncos. That defense is locked down. I'm very high on the Broncos. I don't believe Peyton Manning is finished. They do need to figure out that offensive line issues and the running game. The running game is horrendous, especially C.J. Anderson's on my fantasy.
Yeah, you better. Oh, I was about to say, whoever drafted C.J. Anderson made a very big mistake. I made an Excel spreadsheet, top 300 players, and I went through every player and deleted the ones I wouldn't even touch. And the top 20, I deleted one player, and that was C.J. Anderson.
With Gary Kubiak, even though I didn't draft him personally, it was an auto draft. Gary Kubiak does wonders with running backs in his system. So you have really no reason to believe that he would have fell off like this. But I think it was more the offensive line, not him. Even though Ryan Hillman had a couple nice runs. But he was the number one running back for the last 8 weeks or 7 weeks last year. He was absolute beasting the last 7 weeks last year. Number one fantasy running back the last 7 weeks.
But sometimes you can't buy the hype, man.
You're talking about running. You're talking about hype and running, and you're talking about problems. Let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles 0-2. DeMarco Murray. What has he got? He's averaging like
11 rushing yards total in
That's
2
what I'm
games.
saying. Forget about 5.5 per carry, 5.5 per game. Even Trent Richardson's going like, what? I can still be in the NFL with that. What? You crazy? What are you trying to take my Stilo?
All right, here we go. Question of the night. I want Ezra to answer this. I want everybody in the FanDuel comment box to answer this. Yes or no, would Trent Richardson have more than 11 rushing yards in that Philadelphia Eagles offense after these first 2 games?
No.
Wow.
No. You know why? You know how many rushes, how many attempts it would take him to make it to the stadium? Do you know? If they called him over and say, hey, come on down, it will take him by week 7, okay, to reach into the stadium. The man averaged, 2.1 yards per carry.
Well, we're talking about 5.5 yards per game.
If you took the train, it's got to be a distance. It's got to be a couple hundred yards, right, from the train station to the stadium. Come on.
But so what happens in real talk here? What happens with DeMarco Murray, who last year ran for, was it over 1,800 yards and was responsible for over 2,400 yards from scrimmage? What happens to this player when he gets placed in a completely different offense? He runs for 11 yards in 2 games. Is that more credit to the Dallas Cowboys offensive line, or is that showing you how bad the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line is? What, or is it? Does it come down to DeMarco Murray? Like what are we seeing right now out of this? This was the leading rusher in last year's league. Now can't even get 6 yards a game.
I think it's a combination of a lot of things. We already established. Everyone knows the Cowboys' offensive line is probably the best in football, okay? And I don't believe DeMarco Murray, he's a bad running back. He's always been he's always had the talent. I think it's just an adjustment, too. Remember last year, LaShawn McCoy went, for a very slow start last year. It took him a while to adjust again. I even know a couple years ago, he did fantastic in the Chip Kelly offense. I think it's just an adjustment period. This is not, run I formation, run between the tackles, running game. This is run out of the shotgun. Has he ever done that, really? He hasn't done that much in his pace with the Cowboys. These are different schemes. I think it's just we have to be patient. You know what? To be honest, tonight, I am going to look at my fantasy leagues, and I'm going to take the chance and trade for DeMarco Murray because he's on the cheap. He's got to be on the cheap. You can't be asking me for my number 1 wide receiver. I'm going to be trading for DeMarco Murray. Try to tonight in my fantasy leagues because I think if you're patient enough with him, he will reward you, and I think he will get the ball rolling.
You want to talk fantasy? Go ahead.
I'm just talking about period. A couple years ago, the Chip Kelly's offense was number 1 in rushing it. Last year was 9th. Right now, they're dead last, obviously. Does anyone believe they're going to finish dead last? DeMarco Murray's going to average 5.5 yards per game for the rest of the year? I don't think so. I think he's going to eventually figure this out, and Chip Kelly's going to find a way to get – and it's a number of things. Offensive line issues. His quarterback is not gelling right now. Everything is a complete mess with the Eagles. So that's not helping the running game. Running game is not helping the passing. The passing is not helping the running. The offensive line is a mess. Everything just seems like they're in preseason mode. Like it's basically a new team, guys. It really is. And chemistry is an issue. I've been saying this how many years? Chemistry is huge in sports, and they haven't developed it yet.
It's true. It is. It is very, very, very important. Back to the question of Trent Richardson having more than 11 rushing yards in that Philadelphia Eagles offense. Who Dat Maniac says yes. King Llama says yes. Con Man Mitch says no. Super Hippo 95 says Trent would have negative 11 yards. Mr. Pearl says no way. King Llama says, I'm assuming he means that DeMarco Murray was product of the system in Dallas. Who Dat Maniac? Richardson is stronger. He would have a better chance of breaking tackles in the backfield.
He can't even break tackle. Come on, Who Dat? Have you seen Trent Richardson the last couple of years? Man. He can't even break the NFL right now. You talking about breaking tackles?
It's an interesting question. 11 yards in 2 games. That's I think I saw a statistic. He had 2 yards in this last one. He had 9 in the first one. He had 2 in the last one. I think there was some sort of statistic. There's only been like 3 running backs. He's rushed for like the 3rd least amount of yards in one game. In some, I think, NFL history or something. It was some crazy statistic I saw. I don't know. But
there's another question I think we can answer here, and it'll be fun to answer. Super Hippo asks, this was actually the first question of the night. The biggest disappointment so far to start the first 2 weeks, is it the Colts? Is it the Eagles, the Seahawks, or other?
Colts, Eagles, Seahawks, or other?
Colts, Eagles, Seahawks, or other. I'm going to let you think about it. I'm going to answer it. Out of those 3, I'm going with the Eagles because they have looked absolutely pathetic, especially the last game versus the Cowboys. It's not like they haven't, a scary defense. Now they got a solid defense, and they absolutely look like they haven't played with each other. They didn't look like an offensive, genius was behind them or anything like that. They looked absolutely pathetic. I was disgusted in myself that I was watching this game over the Dolphins and Jaguars. I made a terrible decision to focus on this game. It was terrible to watch. But I'm going with other to answer this question with the New Orleans Saints.
Oh, my goodness. You took my answer.
I was going to go, that's my other. The Saints, whoa. And people talking about, oh, Peyton Manning's done. If you want to talk about all this stuff and talking about their numbers being down and you don't know if his career's over and maybe he should hang it up and all this other crap, he's not what he used to be, you better start giving some of that talk to Drew Brees. Okay? It's not like he's in a great division himself. Peyton Manning is, at least he's in a very good division. This man is in a division where someone won 7-9 last year and won it. He's got weapons and Brandon Cooks, Mark Ingram, Darren Sproles. He's got an offensive guy behind him in Sean Payton. We already know Drew Brees is a locked-in Hall of Famer.
He doesn't have Sproles.
What's going on? Oh, he doesn't. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot who. He had another guy that was close, like by him. I'm sorry. He did have Sproles. He used to be.
C.J. Spiller.
There you go. I'm sorry. I'm saying is the Saints, man.
Yeah, it's bad in New Orleans, especially considering I always talk about this, but the GM league I did last year, I GM'd the Niners, the New Orleans Saints, and you want to know the first thing I did? It's crazy to everybody.
You traded Drew Brees.
I traded Drew Brees, and the reason why is because that GM, we use the same cap numbers. That GM, is it Mickey Loomis? Is that right? Whatever his name is, he put that team in so much of a hole financially when it comes to the salary cap. There was no other choice, really. That's why. Why do you think they got rid of Jimmy Graham and some of their offensive linemen? I think they traded Ben Grubbs to the Chiefs for a 5th-round pick. They had to clear cap, and they had no other choice but to trade some of these guys away. In my situation, I saw a 36-year-old quarterback who I could get a haul for, and I did. I can tell you what I got for him, but it's a long story, and I got too much, and it was fantastic and whatever. Anyway, but back to the Saints. Really though, it's pretty bad. I mean, I thought they would win their first week. I can't remember who they were playing. But for the second week at home against the Buccaneers, that's a divisional game. You tend to know those teams a lot better than anybody else, and you get smacked by Jameis Winston and the Buccaneers. That's embarrassing. So now Drew Brees, I believe, has a torn rotator cuff. And they're questioning whether he can play this next week.
Yeah, it's bruised. They're saying his
Last I heard, now it's torn.
Oh, well, that'll explain it. The guy's hurt, big time hurt then. But this is dating back to last year. Drew Brees wasn't himself. And you only score 19 points against the Buccaneers. Jameis Winston got his first win against Drew Brees and the Saints. And Jameis Winston threw a beautiful pass and won that touchdown in the back end zone. That was very nice, very sweet. I'm just saying, out of all of them, I think that the Saints are cooked. They're done. I think if you're asking me which team is cooked and finished on the grill, ready to be eaten, is the Saints. I have no faith in them.
Yeah, I think unfortunately they're no longer the team that they once were, and it's kind of sad to see. They used to be this high, explosive type of offense. Their defense is terrible. Their defense is really bad. They can't stop a nosebleed out there, man. Drew Brees doesn't have big Jimmy Graham to throw to anymore. Marcus Colston is aging. Unfortunately, Brandon Cooks is one of the best players on that team.
He ain't doing it for my fantasy team. Sheesh.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's kind of a tough sight to see, but I'm gonna say the Saints for that
underrating nosebleeds. Okay. Yeah. All right. Sometimes they're tough to stop. Okay. Sometimes those guys don't want to go away. Let's stop underrating the nosebleed here. Okay. Let's show some respect, Dave.
We've got some questions lined up here. We got a handful of questions. We're going to go Super Hippo 95s first. We're going to say, which of these young NFL QBs do you have the most confidence in? I feel like me and Ez are going to have the same answer here. Teddy Bridgewater, Derek Carr, Johnny Manziel, Marcus Mariota, or Jameis Winston?
I don't see that list. I'm trying to look in the comments. But most confidence in? Oh, I see it now.
It's got to be Derek Carr for me.
The most confidence in.
And it's funny because you had Teddy in there. I think Johnny Manziel. Here's the thing. Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston, 2 games under their belt. I'm not even going to consider them. So I think it would be narrowed down to Bridgewater, Carr, and Manziel. And they all came out in last year's draft. When I graded them, I graded Manziel ahead of Carr and Bridgewater. I graded Carr ahead of Bridgewater. So I had Bridgewater last. And the reason why I had Manziel in front of any of those guys, but I had Bortles first in front of any of them. I had Manziel because of the potential to have that, those big playability type of passes that he had at A&M. But if I had to draft one of them, I wasn't going to draft Manziel because he was a knucklehead off the field. And I like Carr more than Bridgewater. And so far, I've seen that, and I'm gonna pick Carr. So to kind of explain that a little bit more.
Everyone knows Carr's my boy, but I'm going to go with Jameis Winston, okay? Big prototype, big gun, won big games, not afraid of the moment. I'm a big Winston guy. If I had the choice, I would have packaged something together to go number 1, even though the Buccaneers would not give it up to go for Winston if I was the Jets. I have the most confidence in Winston. Okay, I know he didn't beat Mariota in the Rookie Bowl, but long term, you're gonna see Winston do his thing. If he can become Big Ben light, Buccaneers are gonna be very happy, very happy.
Speaking of number 1 pick, Justin Villarreal, I believe is how you say the name. He says, I know this is early, but who will end up with the number 1 pick in the 2016 NFL draft?
Oh, man.
Saints? I think it's possible. Yeah, you see a lot of teams.
I won't say Saints because that.
No, listen. You had the Chiefs go to the playoffs a couple of years ago, and then they finished last. You had the Texans go to the playoffs a couple of years ago, and then they finished last. They drafted Jadeveon Clowney. You got Eric Fisher. You got Jadeveon Clowney. Who won this last year? Winston. Buccaneers can't. Whatever. But I can see the Saints. I can see the Saints finishing last.
I can see that too. But I'm gonna go with, because now he's hurt. I'm gonna go with the Bears. I'm gonna go with the Bears. How about that one?
You mean your team from last year?
My team from what do you mean my team from last year?
We have the Red Zone Blitz recorded.
Now, who was your team last year?
On the internet. We can go back. We can replay them.
Who was your team? The Raiders. The Raiders.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The Raiders was with your team last year. Okay, so my team did better than your team. If you want to go with all that smack.
Okay, all right, I guess.
Joe,
I was a year. Hey, for the record though, I was a year early on the Raiders. Maybe. I don't know.
That's what we're gonna. I'm gonna say that's the case. I'm 3 years early on the Bears. Okay, what kind of crap is that? I'm a year early on the Raiders. What? Oh, I love how you try to spin that. That was good.
Hey, you're gonna refresh the comments in the FanDuel comment box. You guys appreciate everyone who's come out, man. I really, Mr. Pearl, Delaki, Super Hippo, Justin Villarreal.
And these big disappointments, real quick, just super quick. You worried about the Seahawks?
No. One thing I would be worried about is Darrell Bevell not utilizing Jimmy Graham. And as we all saw, if you watched the Sunday night game, Green Bay and Seattle, Jimmy Graham caught one pass for 11 yards. I think he didn't even have a catch last year with the Saints that was over 20. I might be wrong on that. I want to check that out. But it's either Jimmy's slowing down or he's not being utilized correctly. Something's not going on because you can't trade a first-round pick in your starting center for Jimmy Graham and not utilize him. His teammates have already come out. Reports have already come out saying Jimmy Graham is pissed and hates his role with the Seahawks right now. They're not throwing him the ball. I think from what I saw, Darrell Bevell was too concerned with feeding Marshawn Lynch the ball and running Russell Wilson.
Why are we blaming Bevell? Why?
He's the offensive coordinator.
But there's a reason there's a guy above him. There's a reason why you have control over personnel.
Well, who's calling the plays? Who's calling the plays?
Who hired Bevell? Pete Carroll.
You want to utilize what you have. You want to use Jimmy Graham.
Exactly. So you go to your offensive coordinator as the boss and say, hey, you know what we gave up for him. You know what he's capable of, right? Stop the madness. Line him up at wide receiver, especially in the red zone. Throw it up to the big boy. Throw it up to Big Ginger. Throw it up. Is he a ginger? I'm not sure. Does he have red hair? I don't know. I think it's some different color blonde. And it doesn't matter. Throw it up to Big Ginger. That's Pete Carroll. You got to go in there. If that's the problem, if it's the offensive coordinator, which I think is Pete Carroll saying, hey, we're going to probably surprise some guys and make Jim Garrett Graham a blocker. Or so, whatever the case is, it is ridiculous. You give up. That's why they have problems at the offensive line, because you gave up one of your good offensive linemen, a first-round pick, and a guy that you haven't, I don't think, utilized his full potential so far in his two games. He's not. That's what I'm saying. I blame that on Pete Carroll. And you made a weakness where your strength was. You made your offensive line weaker where Lynch, there was a running game. You wanted to turn this more into a Russell Wilson team, right? You wanted to throw the ball a little bit more. And for some reason, you're sticking to your old ways. But you made the most important part of a running game weaker, and that's your offensive line. Okay, so you can blame John Schneider, the GM, for pulling the trigger on the trade. Has full control. Okay. If John Schneider wants to be fired tomorrow because Pete Carroll said so, he'll be fired. Pete Carroll runs the show in Seattle. I don't believe that. I do not believe that. That's where he got hired from. He got hired from USC, and he said, the only way you're going to get me is if you give me power And if you make me run the show, he's like Andy Reid.
Who's drafted this team? Who's drafted the players in order for Pete Carroll to be Pete Carroll?
Who do you think has been drafted? Who do you think runs the show in Kansas City? It's Andy Reid. He hired that general manager. Like Pete Carroll hired this general manager. They're the boss. They hired the general manager. They may say head coach. We know who's got the power. Okay?
I don't know. I don't. I'm not buying that.
You're not. I don't. You need to do some research, Dave. You better check out what Pete Carroll got when he came from USC. You think he just got money? He got power. You don't leave a powerhouse USC. You don't leave a place you're a god at for nothing. You don't leave just because he was making tons of money, UFC. You leave for power, and that's what he did. That's what a lot of these college coaches or whatever, anytime anybody's got leverage, if you want to, there was rumors that, because the Colts are, Chuck Pagano's on a hot seat, that Jim Irsay wants to go for someone big, and people are already talking about Jim Harbaugh. How do you bring Jim Harbaugh to the Colts tomorrow?
Jim Harbaugh would not leave Michigan.
You crazy. Give him 6 years, $66 million, and personnel control. I bet you he'll come back. Someone tweeted, what would it take for Jim Harbaugh to come to the Colts next year? What would it make him leave Michigan? Money and power. Would you turn down 6 years, $66 million, power and control of a franchise in the NFL? Most coaches wouldn't. Most coaches would not turn that down. Just saying.
I don't know. I feel like it's tough for a guy like Harbaugh who played at Michigan, who's going to coach at Michigan, maybe after the season, but not right now. Not after 3, 4 games. I doubt it. I doubt he would leave.
Mustin says, you guys have been hating on Teddy B forever. I don't hate on. I like Teddy B. I was trying to draft him in my fantasy league. But you're talking about most confidence? I'm not going to have the most confidence in Teddy Bridgewater, but I do like him. Believe me, I wish he was on my Jets. Who that maniac said Jimmy Graham is a ginger, so big ginger. That nickname is staying. El Chigon says the Giants are unlucky. They're not unlucky. They've been stupid. Okay? Stupid and lucky is two different things. The Giants have lost 2 games where they had 10-point leads, and I love Tom Coughlin. I've always defended him. I like Eli Manning big time. I think he's, very underrated. I got to defend him against David all the time. The Giants have been absolutely moronic the first 2 weeks with time management, the stupid plays by Eli Manning, and last week, once again, I'm not throwing Tom Coughlin under the bus. I don't think the season's over for them. I think people are overlooking that the Giants were actually in and actually could have won the first 2 games. How many people expected the Giants to be this competitive? They got nobody on defense besides that secondary. You can't tell me nobody in that front 7 at all. Oh, wait, John Beeson, I guess. That's about it.
He might be hurt.
And he might be. You can't tell me nobody in that front 7. Their offensive line is not that great. You can tell me he's Eli, Beckham, and Cruz is hurt. You got Preston Parker that can't catch a damn ball. The Giants, should be very happy they were competitive. People are overlooking that they've been very competitive. They just, been making very big mental mistakes to keep the win.
Weren't they leading by at least 10 points in the fourth quarter, both games, and lost?
Yes. That has to do with time management and everything.
Yeah, that's no bueno. Tom Coughlin, Eli. I'm going to check the FanDuel comment box, see if you guys got more questions here. We have some Saints talks. We have some Seahawks talk.
El Chigon wants to know any thoughts on the Lions. Rawr, rawr.
Lions are 0-2, I believe.
Yes, they are 0-2. And I'm going to keep saying what I've been saying for the last 30 years with the Lions. I don't know why you keep believing in Matthew Stafford this much. How many times they throw the ball 75% of the time for a guy that's consistently inconsistent. Why do you have running backs? Why did you draft a running back if you're not going to use him? Riddle me that.
He's 3-31 all time against teams who finish with a winning record.
Stop putting the control in Matthew Stafford's hands. Stop asking him to carry your team 75% of the time. How many years is it going to take for you to learn this man? It is what he is. Okay? He is inconsistent. Make him consistent. Why don't you, what the Cowboys did last year? Take off the pressure off the quarterback, run the ball. Run the ball. Let him be free. Because in here, there's something wrong with Matthew Stafford in here when it comes to vision or something. You're asking him to do too much when he's just not capable of carrying a team. He is not Andrew Luck. He is not Peyton Manning. He is not an elite QB to carry a team. You have to save him from himself. That's what the Lions' problems is. I'm not a believer in Matthew Stafford. I don't know how many years I got to say this. You got any thoughts, David? You know, protect your boy?
I'm kind of drawing a blank on the Lions, to be honest. Like, usually the last, I don't know, year, 2 years, whatever.
564 said, isn't JPP a good end? I don't know. You know,
he's not on the field.
He doesn't technically. He's not even with the Giants. He hasn't even signed a contract yet, I believe. Did he sign a contract yet?
No, I thought he was in his last year.
I think he's going to be out for 3 more weeks. I think he's not healthy enough to play. I think, right? You think so, David? I think he's going to be out for how many? How many? I think 3 more weeks. He's out. Wait. I don't wait. They're right there. 3. Or is it 4? 3. So I don't know how many.
He's missing his this finger and his part of his thumb. He's missing. So
how can we say with confidence that he used to be a good defensive end? 5-finger, 10-finger JPP used to be a good defensive end. I don't know about 8-finger Freddie. I don't know. Don't know about him. He's not on the field. Technically, he's not even a Giant right now. So, no, the Giants do not have a good JPP right now because he's not even with the team. The biggest performance, week 2, Adrian Peterson, Antonio Brown. Who's an absolute beast? Antonio Brown, I think there was week 2. These are thoughts in my own head. I have plenty of thoughts all the time, David. But I was watching Julio Jones. I'm saying, whoa. Mm-hmm. I think it's time to I think we need to start the conversation. I'll be the first one right here to take Megatron out the slot as number 1 best wide receiver in the NFL and start slotting him down. I think it's an argument for Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, those 2. No, that's nobody else.
You know, I don't want to disagree with you on that. Antonio Brown, some of the numbers he puts up are nuts. Julio Jones, I feel is I don't know, who's the better receiver in your opinion? I think Julio has a size, obviously.
Antonio Brown, I'm going to say this, and I don't do this often, might potentially be this era's Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice never had the huge size, never had the blazing speed. He never had the insane athletic abilities of these other guys. And he just produced. This is what Antonio Brown. I think he's the best at coming off the line. Like when I watch, like no one touches him. He be doing that scramble. Oh, you give him a shake at the line. Gone. You're not even touching him. You're not even putting a hand on him. It's not that his acceleration. It's just his footwork is insane. His route running is crisp. His catching ability is also off the charts. Julio Jones, Des Bryant, Megatron, these other guys, AJ Green, they have the size, speed, physical capabilities. They have everything that you want athletically. I know they have that. Me and my friends argue about this. Antonio Brown is he just produces. Just no argument against that. The man 2 years straight leading the NFL in yardage, catches, etc. He's on an absolute tear. He's like the almost guaranteed. I think it was a stat I saw. It's 37 straight games now where he's catched at least 5 balls for 50 yards. The next guy is at 9 games.
Wait, what?
37 straight games, he gets 5 catches, 50 yards at least. 37 straight games. The next guy has 9.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
You can't argue against that.
Yeah. Now, that put something in my head because we're talking about receivers. I'll agree that I think Julio and Antonio are right now on top of Calvin. I tuned in to ESPN Milwaukee today on my way home. And the question that arose was, there was a guy from NFL.com who wrote an article that says the Green Bay Packers are the best at the moment because we could be seeing the best quarterback of all time quarterbacking that football team. And the argument was, or the question was, is Aaron Rodgers, in fact, the best quarterback we've ever seen? Now, before I give my answer, what do you think about that? Is Aaron Rodgers the best quarterback ever? Yay or nay?
No, not right now. I can't call him the best quarterback ever. No. I can say that with ease. Okay. Now, judging greatness is very tough to do because everybody has different, criterias. What is all time? I think about all time because I have a lot of these discussions when it comes to basketball. I don't want to do that all time anymore. I want to do it by era. By era. And should we judge greatness or all time by a career? Or should we judge it by absolute peak? Meaning maybe, Peyton Manning 2008, his peak was this year. That peak level could have been better than, Joe Montana's anytime at his peak. But people are going to go over a career. It's going to judge a career. Aaron Rodgers, I don't know. Is he really a clear cut? He's in the golden era of quarterbacks. Peyton Manning threw for 50 touchdowns. We've seen in our lifetime. We've seen Tom Brady throw for 50 touchdowns. We've seen some insane numbers.
Right. But do you want to hear the craziest number out of any of them?
Go ahead.
Okay. I just want to get the exact number here, but I know the ratio.
You're talking about the interceptions.
Yes.
Yeah, but the argument would be Aaron Rodgers didn't play in the old era where guys had to fight for 10 yards after 10 yards. The league rules are much different from when Brett Favre, Joe Montana, Troy, all the Dan Marino played in. Okay? These guys had to, what was the rule change? Ty Law. Oh, man, he was choking you out the first 10 yards. they basically put the Marvin Harrison rule. That Ty Law was absolutely nope. You're not getting now. You can't touch the wide receiver.
Right, but it takes a lot. It takes a lot to not throw interceptions in the NFL. Okay?
Yes, and I'm just saying it's tougher.
How many interceptions do you think roughly has Eli Manning had in probably a span of 2 seasons?
Oh, Eli Manning throws a lot of interceptions, so I'm gonna go with maybe 30, more than 30. I'm gonna say close to 40. A season. Eli Manning probably
25.
Eli Manning probably throws for an average maybe 18 to 20 a season.
I think it's a little bit more than that.
Eli
Either way, 2 seasons. Let's say 25 a piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's 50. I want to be sure about this. I want to look up Eli real quick.
The way you compare, Eli's not an all-time great.
I'm about to listen. Just hold on. I want to see something here. Okay, so a couple years ago he threw 27. Last year threw 14. Okay, right. Okay. All I'm saying is Aaron Rodgers has thrown 57 interceptions his entire career. Okay. Now, his ratio is 231 touchdowns to 57 interceptions. If you do the math, that's over a 4-to-1 ratio. Over a 4-to-1 ratio in his career that he has thrown more touchdowns than interceptions. The next best quarterback, when analyzing that ratio, doesn't even have a 3-to-1. Not Tom Brady, not Joe Montana, not John Elway, not Dan Marino, not Jim Kelly, not Johnny Unitas. Nobody has a 3-to-1. Aaron Rodgers has a 4-to-1. That I think alone speaks about consistency, accuracy, the ability to avoid turnovers. That helps your team win. And this isn't even talking about how Aaron Rodgers has that second aspect of his game of his mobility. This is just talking about him as a passer. So when it comes down to the mechanics of the game, I think that one lone statistic is just mind-boggling. The touchdown-to-interception ratio, I think, speaks volumes. In the last 4 seasons, not including this one, here's his touchdown-interception ratio. 45 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. That was in 2011. 2012, 39 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. In 2013, this is the season he was hurt for half the season. 17 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Last year, 38 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He doesn't even go past double digits. Okay. Statistically speaking, man, you can look at anyone else's stats. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, John Elway, Joe Montana. Look at their numbers. These numbers do not compare. Some of these, especially in the interception category. I think when it's all said and done, I think Aaron could be. I'm going to say this now. When it's all said and done, you ready for this?
Go ahead.
When it's all said and done, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be the best quarterback of all time. And this is not coming because I'm a Packer fan and you see all the Packer posters. I'm talking about the pure statistics of the matter here. We could be seeing the best quarterback that we have ever seen playing.
Aaron Rodgers has 7 career playoff interceptions and 11 games started.
Okay.
Tom Brady has started 29 playoff games, 26 interceptions with 4 Super Bowl wins, which a lot of people will put that in account.
What? So the rings. Tom Brady has.
I'm talking about the rings.
I know the argument.
That's why people hold back Peyton Manning from being the greatest, right? Because he doesn't have the rings. He doesn't have the rings.
Mm-hmm. But as that player, that pure football player.
People are not going to call you the all-time great if you don't have the rings. And if Aaron Rodgers keeps losing to the Seahawks in the playoffs, you could totally forget about the comment you just made.
He's lost to the Seahawks once in the playoffs.
Wow, just saying.
And did he really lose? Did he really lose that game?
Or if Kaepernick keeps smacking you around in the playoffs, if you want to talk about that one. That's what I'm just saying. This is not coming from me, because I think playoff accolades and rings
what would happen? What would happen if you? What would happen if you won one more?
Let's see how it happens. Let's see how it happens. When it happens, I can't tell you what.
I mean, he's won 2 league MVPs. He's won a Super Bowl. He's won a Super Bowl MVP. He has the statistics to back it up, and his career isn't even over yet.
Yeah, but there's plenty of other quarterbacks that have the same things. They have the same things. Tom Brady's got league MVPs. He's dating, he's married to Giselle or whatever. Everyone, when you talk about all-time greats, they have the statistics to back them up. It's little arguments, and how do you really? And like I said, it depends on a person's criteria. What really makes you an all-time great? And more I think about this, I don't believe in all-time greats anymore. I want to believe in best of their era.
Yeah, but if you have a best of in your era, what era? Like what are we talking about? Like what years? What span? Like a 10-year span? A 25-year span?
I'm just saying the last couple years, the last 2-3 years, we say I agree with you. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the league.
Okay,
right?
Right.
This is his era right now. We're living in the Aaron Rodgers era. Before this, people were going to say the Peyton Manning or Tom Brady era.
Right.
Before that, it's maybe the Brett Favre or
John Elway
or John Elway era.
Right.
You have during the 80s, 90s, you had your argument. Dan Marino, John Elway, you
Brett
name
Favre,
it.
Right.
Brett Favre, wherever. Joe Montana in the 80s. You have your ships. You put your flag down and you pick your guy.
Look at it as like a 64 March Madness bracket tournament thing, where you put those quarterbacks, best of each era, in the bracket or whatever, however you want to do it, and be like, all right, who's better here, who's better there, and you narrow it down from there. That's how you can do it.
Like I said, I believe championships is overrated. And it's Mikey put by going by championship. He only has one so far. We know that.
Right. And
he put Brady, Bradshaw, Montana has all 4. Let me tell you, Bradshaw is an absolute last place. He does not even deserve to be in an all-time discussion. This is what I mean about rings being over.
Neither does Namath.
I'll take Dan Marino 3 million times over Bradshaw, and he has 0 rings. He has 0 rings. I think rings is overrated.
Jim Kelly. Jim Kelly doesn't get talked about very much. But you want to argue rings, you want to argue Super Bowl wins, Aaron Rodgers is going to lose that right now. Point blank. He's going to lose that argument. There's no arguing that.
How long is Aaron Rodgers going to hold up? We're going to talk about longevity. Right now, we're talking about how many dominant years that has Aaron Rodgers had so far. We'll go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dominant years so far.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold on now. 5. Hold on a second. 1. He missed that half the season. 2, 3, 4, 5.
5.
Yeah, I guess his first season he was still, getting acclimated to the
Okay, 5. 5
Sure.
dominant seasons when you got, I know Aaron Rodgers' career is nowhere near over, but you got to see how it holds up when you got Peyton Manning, who's had, I don't know, man, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 9, 10, arguably 11 dominant seasons.
And the other thing is, remember, Aaron sat on the bench for 3 years behind Brett.
Yeah, well,
so we don't.
I think that's an argument that helped him out.
And that's an argument in and of itself. So
because someone's career early in the career, if their confidence is shot, or they develop some bad habits, can affect the rest of your career. I've always believed, especially the old era, of before the rules of the 5-yard rule. I've always believed in you must sit quarterbacks down. I've always said it. I've always preached it. Sit a quarterback down. Sit them down. Sit them down. New NFL, you really don't have to do that because the rules are soft. They're towards the quarterback. They're towards the offense. It's that simple. Everything now is defensive play. It doesn't even have to be the 5-yard thing. Defensive player. You can't hit a quarterback below the knees. You can't do this and that. You got so many rules against the defense. You're giving the offensive players more first downs, more chances at touchdowns. It's craziness. I remember when the Rams, the best show on turf, that was like that offense was whoa, they're scoring 30 points. 30 points is nothing for us now. Nothing, absolutely nothing for us.
I don't know. I think when it's I don't know. I just feel like we were talking about all-time greats at the receiver position. I just brought up A-Rod because
I know you wanted to bring it. And speaking about, I'm going to say this. Besides Tom Brady, the best quarterback I've ever seen in the playoffs, Kurt Warner. I don't care anybody says. Kurt Warner was an absolute monster in the playoffs. Best quarterback I've ever seen in the playoffs. You ask me who I want in the playoffs, not Tom Brady, because I don't like Tom Brady and I'm a Jets fan. Give me Kurt Warner. Absolute monster.
And the funny thing is, as much praise as everyone gives Brett Favre, especially here in Wisconsin.
That's my boy, my favorite
right,
player.
Fine. That's your boy, and fantastic. And everyone else's boy here in Wisconsin. But I think he's the most overrated quarterback when it comes to the playoffs of all time. He can never win in the playoffs. Earlier in his career, sure, he went to the Super Bowl and won it. The season after that, he went to the Super Bowl and lost. Fine. Had three league MVPs, 95, 6, 7, something like that. Fine. But at that point, after those Super Bowls, he didn't really do a whole heck of a lot. And every time he took the team to the playoffs, one interception after that. I mean, I will never forget that 2001 playoff game against the Rams, against the Kurt Warner-led Rams.
Which is all – but it's not like he – think about it, what he went up against.
Right, but –
you talk about the Rams. The Rams are all-time, offensive juggernauts. They went essentially – how many Super Bowls? They go to 3 Super Bowls?
Ezra. He threw 6 interceptions in that game.
Okay, we know
Ezra,
we know his
you
flaws.
will never win a football game if you turn the ball over 6 times.
I understand that. All I'm saying is he went up against, some great teams, some errors where, the Rams, they were insane. They should have at least 2 Super Bowls.
Why did they lose to the Patriots that year?
Why did they lose to the Patriots? Maybe some funky calls, or maybe because they had some signals on the sideline.
Okay, all right, funky.
I did. Okay. There was a defensive holding in that play and that game. Still disgusting to this day. And I'm hearing reports about signals being stolen. That's all I'm saying.
I think it might have been maybe a year or 2 before that time, but I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
We got about 15 minutes before we wrap it up tonight on the Red Zone Blitz. Again, appreciate everyone who's tuned in. Down in the FanDuel comment box, a lot of talk about all kinds of stuff. We're talking week.
Wait. I just don't know what I want to talk about.
Well, okay.
Read some comments because I need a second before I. Because I need to get on some things. All right. Just take a second. I'll be right.
All right. I'm gonna read some comments. This is relating to the Aaron Rodgers conversation we just had 564 RRS says, no one can throw on 1 foot like Aaron Rodgers. He is a once-in-a-lifetime quarterback. His accuracy on the move and release is unreal. El Chingon says, not yet for Aaron Rodgers. He is my man, but he needs at least one more Super Bowl ring. Delakey says, not yet on Aaron Rodgers. All-time greats need at least 4 Super Bowl wins on their resume, being a significant part of their team's victory throughout the season. I don't know. That's tough. I think I'm going to – Elgin Going also says, so Marino's not a great. Elway's not a great. Manning's not a great. I feel like those guys are all-time greats as well. So I don't know if – I think I disagree with that point because there's only about three quarterbacks who have 4 Super Bowl wins, being Manning and Bradshaw and Montana. So I don't know. I mean, you're not going to find you can't find some quarterback on the street and see if he's got 4 Super Bowl wins. It doesn't happen every day. There's only a handful, not even. I'm going to refresh the comments here. We should hand out MVPs tonight as well, Ezra, because we didn't do that last week.
All right. Just let me know or I can get something off my chest here.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay. Earlier this week, I don't know if any of you guys heard this report. Okay. This is not the actual report. This is, I guess, someone agreed to the report. Ndamukong Suh, freelancing, part of Dolphins' problem. And this is from Pro Football Talk.NBC Sports. I love Pro Football Talk. Really like what they do here. This is posted by Darren Gant. Yesterday's loss to the Jaguars revealed a number of problems with the Dolphins, but perhaps the most troubling is their highest paid player is already doing their own thing. According to Adam Beasley of the Miami Herald, one of their problems was yesterday that star free agent defensive tackle Suh strayed away from defensive coordinator's script. Okay. While Suh has the ability to make plays with his singular talent, this also creates a mass confusion among the other 10 players on defense if he's not where he's supposed to be. If you're going to write stuff like this, you're going to report stuff like this, show me the damn tape. Show me the damn proof. I know Suh is not the most, loved guy in the league. I know he's done some idiotic stuff on the field, but this is an absolute smear joke. Smear job by the media. Absolutely. You don't come around and say stupidness like this because I know there's going to be idiots out there, and I'm not talking about the funny idiot like me. They're going to believe this crap. And I'm a Jets fan, and I have to defend a Dolphins player. That's what's pissing me off right now, that I have to defend a Dolphins player from quote-unquote reporters and other quote-unquote reporters agreeing without seeing the tape and just writing this crap, blogging this crap. Where in the hell do you see on the tape Suh doing his own thing? Did the coordinator say, hey, I want you to go after the quarterback or, fill this gap, and he runs out and plays cornerback? Did anyone see Suh play cornerback the last 2 weeks? Did anyone see him turn into a safety apparently doing his own thing? Was he doing the robot on the field? What was he doing that was his own script? Was it Step It Up too, featuring Suh? I don't understand. Was he dancing? What was he doing that proves to you this report that he was doing his own thing on D? And D, what are you talking about? His own thing on D. We're talking about defense, right? Because the only D freelanced around here is from Adam Beasley from the Miami Herald. You're playing with Suh's D right now with this crap. And NBC Sports, Pro Football is ridiculous. How you coming at the boot? That's what these idiots is, the damn boot. You don't report crap like this. This is what you do for a living. I do this for fun. I talk sports for fun. And I'm not going to say crap like this unless I see tape, until I see it with my own eyes. These guys, it's a joke. This is a joke. I'm over here in my damn bedroom doing YouTube videos, and I have to defend, and I'm not doing smear jobs on players because the Dolphins are 0-2. That is disgusting because you don't like him. Because you don't like him, you got to be a jerk and make me.
Uh-oh. I don't know what happened to Ezra. He must. Oh, there he is. Ezra, you disconnected there for a second, man.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Go say he's doing his own thing. That makes no sense to me. It just doesn't. Adam and Dan, you deserve the boot. Straight up. And whoever else believes in this crap without showing me proof, you deserve the boot. And if you show me proof, I get 2 boots. Literally. I'll ask my roommates right here on you. Yo, hit me with 2 boots. I get the boot. Double boot. If you show me Suh playing safety on his own, please show me he wanted to be Eric Berry. Please show me. I want to see that. Did he go outside linebacker? Did he line up at outside linebacker? I'm just wondering. Did he not fill in the gap? Do you know what plays he called? Did the coach say this? Did the coach say, well, Suh was supposed to be in gap such and such, but he didn't go there. He went the other side and did his own thing. How do you know he free? I don't understand how they know he freelanced. That's my thing. You're not part of the game plan. You're not the defensive coordinator. How do you know what play such and such were doing? What his responsibility was on that play? Please explain and show me that. I'm done. I'm done with these idiots.
Yeah, and I agree. That's all. I don't know how to. Yeah, I agree. That's. It seems like these websites tend to hire, Bob and Joe from around the corner to write something up, and now it becomes fact when it's really opinion. That's why I like to tell people: don't believe what you see, don't believe what you read, and formulate your own opinion. Like you said, if I don't see it with my own 2 eyes, then what are we talking about?
These guys are supposed to be professionals.
No, but these guys. But that's the thing. They do it to get a reaction.
They get it to clicks for clicks.
Right? For let me see how much money I can make by making up all this bogus news or talking about all this baloney. And unfortunately, it works. Yeah, tomorrow you're gonna have all these people who read the article. Hey, did you hear about Ndamukong Suh, man? I don't think they should have traded, or I don't think they should have signed him in free agency. I think he's a bum. I think this. I think that. And you're formulating your opinion based off of an article who was written by Jim Bob Joe, who's from around the corner getting paid $3.97 an hour, plus the clicks he gets from this article. So, yeah, I don't agree with it. I mean, show me, like you said, show me the tape so I can see. Because when you told me about this before the show, you're like, hey, did you hear about Ndamukong Suh? I said, what are you talking about? Yeah, there's this article about this, that, and the other. I don't agree with that. I didn't even hear about it. So I don't know. I think it's time to give our MVPs because Ezra, you blanked out for a second. You actually went away. I don't know what happened there.
I clicked the wrong thing. That was all me. That was all me there.
Yeah, you were getting upset.
Idiots out there, man. They don't even deserve to be called idiots because I call myself an idiot, and I'm putting them in the same league as me.
Put that lower third down so they can see where they can get you at.
And Michael Bolden on Twitter hit me up, and he was talking about your boy Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
He said Tim Thompson won't let Rodgers throw a pick. Here's why. He has the same personnel forever now. We know the Packers do a fantastic job in drafting and keeping their own guys. And Rodgers has played with the same guys he is familiar with and eats sacks instead of throwing picks.
Yeah, and he also throws the ball away when he needs to. And, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like Aaron Rodgers is a different breed. He's a different breed.
For Aaron Rodgers, if you want to ask me, Aaron Rodgers, okay, but throw away, he hasn't won the big game yet, and he hasn't been perfect.
Well, he has.
But I mean, like multiple. That's what I mean, like multiple championships, because that's what people want to grade him up. Aaron Rodgers is probably the nearest I've seen to a perfect quarterback. He's mobile. He runs when he needs to at the right moment. He doesn't throw interceptions. He looks for the big play, and if he sees the short game, he'll take the short game. He's, when it comes to those abilities, he's near the most perfect. Now, if you want to talk about a guy before the snapping the ball, we could talk about Peyton Manning. He was, before snapping the ball, he's near perfect at analyzing the situation and what to do and which play to go for and who to attack before the ball is snapped. Stuff like that. But Aaron Rodgers, like I said, when the ball snapped, he's got all the tools. He's got the makeup. He's shown it enough that, wow, that guy, you can't stop him. That's
kind of what I was trying to say is the way his game translates. It's like he's closest. It's the closest you're going to get to perfect as you're going to get. And to me, that's enough for me, at least, regardless of the accolades of the Super Bowls and the MVPs. It's like, who can play the position in the purest form? Who can play the position with no mistakes or the least amount of mistakes? And statistically speaking, and just, again, watch the tape, whatever, I think it's Aaron. I think it's Aaron Rodgers. So that's all I was trying to say. That was my point. But anyway, let's get to MVPs, Ezra. Tonight, I think for me, it's going to have to be Super Hippo 95. I think came in first comment of the night, but throughout the night, he still, provided. He didn't stop. He didn't say, all right, first comment, I'm done. He came in. He rocked it. A couple other guys came in and rocked it too, but I'm going to give it to Super Hippo 95 tonight.
Oh, wait. He said, oh, hey, yo, Mikey, this is your idea from last week. Hey, yo, Mikey said, what about FanDuel League? I want to play with you guys on that sometime.
Who said this?
Hey, yo, it's Mikey on the chat room.
Oh, the FanDuel League.
Yeah, FanDuel League you're thinking about. And while you think about that for a second, I'm going to go with my – wait. Masum, you hated on Chris Carter. I know it was wrong, but 99% of their players didn't take it for real. He blames, but you really got mad. Yeah, of course I got mad at Chris Carter because, anyway, I'm not going to get back on that. Chris Carter was an idiot for doing that too, big time. And I'm still pissed off about that. And he should be suspended for that. But my MVP is Ayo, it's Mikey. Because Silver and Black deserves some love tonight. And he was writing a lot of – yeah, he's a Raiders fan. So, Ayo, it's Mikey. And he asked about the FanDuel League. And he also hates the Patriots. So he gets the MVP. He gets the MVP. He reminded me of the Tuck rule. How about that? That's the reason why, the Patriots won that.
That was a fumble.
That was a fumble, exactly.
Yeah, that was a fumble.
And the first championship.
He did this. He did this. He did this.
That's not a fumble. You crazy? Charles Woodson. It was Charles Woodson, right, that caused that fumble, right?
Yeah, it was.
Get out of here, man. Piece of crap. He got saved. That first championship, he doesn't get no love for it. Drew Bledsoe. He won that AFC championship, but no one remembers that. It's Tom Brady. He's the greatest. He's got 4 Super Bowls. If it wasn't for Drew Bledsoe,
let me ask.
If it wasn't for the Tuck rule, he's got 2 Super Bowls, and if it wasn't for cheating, he got 0 Super Bowls.
Hey, yo, it's Mikey. I gotta answer his question. The FanDuel League that we talked about last week, he wants to play with us. The reason why I didn't do it this week is because I didn't get enough of a response. So if you guys want to do it, let me know in the comments right now. We need 10 people. Me and Ezra. We need 8 more. Hey, yo, it's Mikey. Sounds like he wants to do it. We need 7 more. If we can get 7 more people to do the FanDuel League, say, I'm down. Here's my username or whatever. I can send you guys the information. somehow maybe throw your emails down. I can, we can figure it out. If we can get 10 people, I'll set up a league. We don't even have to play for that much money. We can play for $1. And then we'll talk about it next week on the Red Zone Blitz. Every Wednesday night this fall, 9 a.m. or 9 a.m. And we
feel like I was on network television right
now. 9 p.m.
9 p.m. every Wednesday this fall.
8 p.m. Central. That's on the Red Zone Blitz, baby.
And that's 9 p.m. Eastern time.
So yeah, this fall, the Red Zone Blitz. Let me know though, really, if you guys want to do it, put it down in the FanDuel comment box. If I get 7 people, it's me, Ezra, Ayo, it's Mikey. We need 7 more.
You can put it in put it in the comment box. You can hit us up on Twitter. Just let us know some way that you're interested in this FanDuel league.
$1 league.
$1.
That's it. So, that's all we got for you guys tonight. We laid it out. Week 2. Some best of the some GOAT, as they call it, greatest of all time talk. MVPs, FanDuel. Ezra, you looking forward to week 3, man?
I need to get a win in fantasy, man. I won $80 on FanDuel, but I need to get some wins on my real.
I'll tell you what. before we get out, I made a trade today. I traded Carlos Hyde for Arian Foster and Des Bryant.
Woo!
I'm investing. I'm investing for the future.
I like that though.
Yes,
I like that. That's a good. Like I said, I'm gonna be trading for some DeMarco Murray tonight. I'm gonna try to see if I can get him in some of these leagues on the cheap.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna take a chance. Got to take a chance.
Take a chance. I took a chance today. So anyway, appreciate everyone tuning in. Red Zone Blitz next Wednesday, 9 o'clock. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm Dave from Wake Up It's Football. You guys can catch me on Twitter, Facebook, right there. Ezra from Idiot Sports Talk. You guys can catch him on his Twitter and Facebook as well. That's all we got for you guys this week.
And you can check me out on Twitch in a few minutes on twitch.com/idiotezra. It'll be on the Twitter, as you can see down in the bottom.
There you go.